Greetings, Sports Wars. My name is Gary Beekler, and I come from a channel called Nerdrotic, where I cover the good, the bad, and the ugly of pop culture. But today, we're going to talk about some sports ball, some NFL football, because I used to be a die-hard NFL San Diego Charger fan. I still bleed blue and gold. Dan Fouts is a god. Kellen Winslow is a god. Charlie Joyner is a god. John Jefferson, Wes Chandler, Stan Humphries, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, the great and late Junior Seau, miss you, buddy, and so many more. LaDainian Tomlinson, who I consider a Judas in this. We're going to talk about the worst person in the NFL, the worst owner in the NFL, the worst owner in the history of sports, Dean Spanos. And if I could turn this into a middle finger, I would. Briefly, Dean Spanos is the son of Alex Spanos, who purchased the Chargers from Gene Klein. Both of them were notoriously cheap. Alex Spanos promised a championship within 5 years. 5 years later, of course, I think we were a 4-12 team at the time. 6-10, 4-12. That's pretty much what the Chargers have been for the longest time. Nobody chooses to be a Charger fan. You have to be born and raised in San Diego to love this team as much as anybody does. And quite frankly, it's shown with their move to LA, a city that didn't even want them. And I would like to say I respect the many citizens of LA who took San Diego's side on this argument. I appreciate you. And for the first time in history, I stand in solidarity with my sworn enemy, the Oakland Raider fans, who are having their team ripped from them for the second time. And the only justice in all this is the Las Vegas Raiders are going to pull more from LA and Southern California than the Rams and Chargers combined. My late great father was an original season ticket holder of this team. I went to my first game when I was 4 years old, and they played the Denver Broncos in 1974, and they were originally in their powder blue uniforms and their white helmets. I got to see Air Coryell, which was brilliant, and I would trade that for nothing despite them winning 0 championships. I got to see the greatest moment in probably San Diego history when the San Diego Chargers defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC Championship. They returned home and the entire city stopped and converged on the stadium. It even aired on ESPN. These moments felt earned. Why? Because my late great father and I were the kind of fans you wanted. Die hard. We weren't fair weather fans. We weren't front runners. We didn't jump to whatever team was winning lately. We didn't keep the receipts to our jerseys or the tags on our hats. We loved one team, and the only other team we liked was the one playing the Raiders or the one playing an opponent that can help us get in the playoffs on the rare occasion that the Chargers were in them. Now, there were times the Chargers should have won a Super Bowl, mostly in the Dean Spanos era, but like I said, he was a complete moron, an idiot. The only guy who could take $1 billion and turn it into $1 million. The only guy who couldn't make something work in San Diego, the city that built the Padres a stadium. Now, I don't want to go deep into the city politics of San Diego, but the municipality had their share of the blame in this, and so do the Padres and Larry Lucchino. But that is a video for another day. The reason the Chargers moved to Los Angeles was because the Padres got a stadium and San Diego was only going to give one team one. They weren't going to do two. You want to know why? Because the Spanoses are billionaires. Now, again, they're billionaires who choose to live in Stockton, California. They're billionaires who made money selling bologna sandwiches to Mexican immigrant workers. That, again, is an article for some hippie out there. And they also made a lot of money in real estate. But Dean Spanos hasn't made jack squat. He floats around on his yacht, used to hang out in La Jolla. I don't know if he's welcome in San Diego anymore. I certainly hope not. He wanted to go to Las Vegas. He wanted to go to LA. He wanted his own stadium, but now he's renting from the Rams. I know largely NFL fans don't like to hear this, but to state the obvious, tax money should not be used to build stadiums, not for a private company owned by a bunch of billionaires who could build these stadiums on their own. Collectively, the only possible exception to this is Green Bay, and that's the only team I would even consider rooting for again If Dean Spanos and the Spanos family is out of the league and they don't get a penny of my money, because the way the NFL shares their profits, Dean would still get some money. And I mean the entire family gone. And I wouldn't be surprised if the NFL wanted to be rid of these losers. And that's all they are. They will never win in LA. So LA, don't even bother rooting for them. And Dean Spanos could have left the colors and the team name with San Diego, and he didn't, because this was done out of freaking spite. He is that petty. He's never had a good relationship with San Diego, and that's why he is so loathed, and that's why a lot of San Diegans weren't on his side. Yes, again, the city did screw up a little bit, but they are ultimately in the right. And we finally had two major cities say no. Now, eventually, these cities are going to be used by other cities to get stadiums built. So they'll threaten to move to San Diego or here in the Bay Area, which is the 8th largest media market in the country. So the NFL is going to want to come back here at some point. There's 10 million people around here, and the 49ers don't get all of them. And quite frankly, the 49ers aren't even in San Francisco right now. They're closer to San Jose. But when it comes to fandom, I want to praise the Raider fans and the Charger fans who said enough. I'm not even going to root for the NFL anymore. I am done, because that's where I am. And you know how hard it was to do that? This was something I enjoyed every Sunday. It was a major part of my life. Now, I don't expect Dean Spanos or any of the other billionaire owners to watch this video or give a crap about a little personal story with the Chargers. But this is what connects people to teams. My dad, while he was riddled with cancer and dying, he had at this time a couple of months to live, went to his last Charger game. I had to practically carry him. He went against the wishes of my mom and my sister and all of his friends, but I supported him. I took him there because I knew he wanted to go. And it was one of the best moments of his life. He broke down in tears after the Chargers lost, and it was one of the best moments of my life. We had a connection to that team. The entire city had a connection to that team that was equal. And Dean just picked up and left. And that is not something you can just start over in LA. That takes years to earn, but Dean Spanos never cared and never will. There's a great article that came out about 3 or 4 months ago in the San Francisco Chronicle that talks about the Raiders and the Chargers leaving and talks about how they belong in their cities. And it is summed up perfectly with this paragraph. The Chargers have no chance. The team's blustery, heartless owner, Dean Spanos, gave up on San Diego, and he will never be forgiven. He took the money and the prestige like a common thief and forgot about his constituency. The NFL must think it's a quick, breezy drive from there to LA, but San Diego considers itself worlds apart, and it does. It's an entirely different city with an entirely different personality. You realize that when the Chargers play in Carson, Los Angeles County, at a soccer stadium, and the majority of the fans are rooting for the opposition. Every single game. And do check out Ryan Cannell's video on this very channel on that very subject. What Spanos has learned far too late: don't ever take the risk of offending fans who intend to hold their grudge for life. The only thing entertaining out of all of this is watching Dean Spanos in the NFL get embarrassed. And guess what? I've got news for you that you probably already know. This problem is not going to improve when you move to the new stadium. That's just more seats that more opposing fans can purchase and embarrass you even further. Again, deservedly so. You got rid of the wrong thing, NFL. You should have got rid of the owner, not the city. And to my fellow San Diegans out there, my heart broke with you. You deserved better. That's why we can say in unison, fuck Dean Spanos.